Hello, welcome everyone to the Global Summit I Am Possible, an event to inspire you to have the courage to be yourself so together we can create a heart-centered revolution where everyone is possible. My name is Mar Guerrero. I'm the founder of Alma Kemi, and I'm very honored today to have Sandra Ingerman, who is a well-known teacher in shamanism with an experience of 40 years, plenty of books everywhere. I live here in Thailand, and there are so many books in the libraries and the bookstores from her. I started doing a journey with one of her audiobooks, and yeah, I'm very honored to have you with us. So thank you, Sandra.
Thank you so much, Mar. It's such a delight to be able to be with you. And you're in Thailand.
Yeah, the way is the magic of the world, and there's so many speakers from all over the world. So I love that opportunity that the internet is giving us.
Yeah, we get to meet each other.
Yes. So I would love to start also a little bit with your journey, because the summit is called I Am Possible. And the idea is that sometimes we have some struggles and contradictions, and then when we find our own way, then yeah, it's like, how are you possible? What brought you to shamanism? And yeah, so we will start from there.
Well, I'm first going to be 68, which to me is not that old. I still feel like I'm a 5-year-old, but I've had a very long, complex life. And my journey of getting involved in shamanism and the practices of shamanism is still continuing because the learning never, ever stops. So at 68, I feel like the little girl that's going to start talking to you about the beauty of the earth. For me, I was born in a city. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and I know that we have people from all over the world and might not be familiar with Brooklyn, but it's a real New York City. But even so, even being born among all this concrete and buildings, I fell in love with the beauty of nature in New York. I mean, in cities, there are trees, there are parks, there are playgrounds. And my parents, on summer holidays, they would take us up to the country so we could be in deeper nature. And so nature, I was so in love with the beauty of the earth. And that led me to start having conversations with the trees and the moon and the stars and the plants. It was just, I was so in love. I'm just a little kid. I just wanted to go out and talk to all the beings. They seemed alive to me. I used to sing to the birds every day. And so I was born with a spiritual destiny. And of course, I drove my parents crazy. They were very, very conservative and very, very straight. They grew up in the Depression during a really hard time, where they had to learn how to survive. So having the opportunity to work on your inner world back in their time wasn't what the culture was going towards. When I was born, everything was about enjoying life and the earth and deepening relationships. And so for me, it really became this love affair with nature. And what I've learned and what I still teach today is if you fall in love with nature, nature will fall in love with you. And I believe that's actually the biggest solution for the climate change issues that we're looking at on the planet today. So here I was, this kid, I was in love with life. I was in love with school. I loved to sing and dance. I wasn't good at anything, but I didn't know it. So, you know, when you're a kid, you love to do activities and you don't realize that you're being judged. And then people kept talking to me about their problems. I'd meet people on the street, and I worked in my father's store, and people were always coming in and saying I was a special child and I was a good listener. I was only 7 years old. I had people coming in using me as a psychotherapist every day. So, I ended up going to school for psychotherapy, but to make this brief, there was a really long spiritual journey because I grew up in the 60s when we were also in a political fight over war. And there were the people who wanted peace, and there were the people who wanted war, and times were very harsh, and a lot of anger, a lot of division, just like there is right now. Things have actually not changed very much. And so I really delved into esoteric work and reading every spiritual book I could find. And I have my degree in marine biology and was interested in reversing river pollution when I got introduced through my master's program in counseling psychology to a course on shamanic journeying. And so there was this real complex road, but I followed it all the way. And the spirits always gave me signs, and I followed every sign. And even signing up for this workshop on shamanism was a complete accident, if we could see it like that.
I love that of following the signs, because it's something that with many of the interviews, when I asked them for their own journey, most of the important decisions were completely like a synchronicity, following a sign. So there is so much magic in that, allowing ourselves to open to the messages that they also come to us. So
Yes, one of my favorite topics to teach about actually is omens or signs, because back in the 1980s, life was not going well for me. And I felt like the universe was always giving me these really big lessons, you know, to work with. And one day I woke up in the middle of the night and I stood up in my room and I said to the universe, would you please show me signs instead of having to take a hammer and hit me over the head to give me a lesson? And from that day forth, you know, there's been a couple of times in my life when I've woken up in the middle of the night and set an intention that had so much power coming from my heart that my life changed after those nights. And so from that day forth, omens showed themselves everywhere, no matter where I went. If I was talking to somebody at the bank or to somebody in the grocery store, they would just start talking about an issue that I'd been dealing with, and we never even met. It was a synchronistic conversation, but within the conversation, it led me to the perfect solution for myself. And when we walk out in nature and when we're thinking about making a decision, it's amazing how nature responds to us. I like to use the example, I live in the desert, so water is very precious here. One of the omens that we're all aware of in the desert is when the universe is trying to give you a sign that you're on the right track. A little drizzle of rain will just come down, just a few drops, not a rain, just a few drops on your head. And basically that's a sign that you're being blessed in whatever it is that you wish to do. My husband and I, we all have our own omens. So we've learned over time that every time hawk shows up at our house, it means if we were worrying about something, it's going to be okay. So the only time hawk shows up at our house is when my husband and I are worrying about something and hawk needs to tell us it's okay. People take walks in nature and they find little rocks that are shaped in a heart. These are all omens. These are all ways that the universe is trying to guide us and affirm our intentions and affirm our dreams. So like if you're walking on a path and the sky is cloudy and you start to talk to the spirits or to the sun about your greatest dream, and all of a sudden the clouds part and the sun shines with this unbelievable light coming down on you, that's an omen again that you're being blessed. And when I got this, and this became a part of my daily practice, this is how I live my life. What I realized is that life is filled with magic, even when we don't know it. And that was one of the most healing things that has happened to me in my 68 years of life, is the universe letting me know it's talking to me constantly. I just have to be willing to open up my invisible senses to be able to embrace the gifts.
That's so beautiful. And it's also like we are never alone. And in this time that people are struggling so much with lockdown and confinement, being on our own, it's like we are never truly 100% alone, because we are always connected with all this magic. Yeah.
Yes, and that when we get into challenged places, it becomes really important to know who has your back. Who has your back? Who's going to support you, as you're walking forward? In shamanism, it's your ancestors. Your ancestors always have your back. They want to see you be healthy and successful. So they're going to help in ways that they can from the other side. And nature always has our back. And so being in nature, which is, I would say, the ultimate practice in shamanism. It's the ultimate practice in shamanism because nature actually taught shamans how to do the work. And so the plants showed shamans what healing properties they have, and then actually how to make them to cure a person. So the plants, the trees, the elements, they were the teachers of shamanism. And so everything in shamanism is connected to nature because we are nature, we're not connected to it.
And how would you define shamanism? Because I think it's something that is complex sometimes in some minds, right? Like there are maybe some misinterpretations, and now it's coming forward
Yeah.
in a very global way. So how would you define it? And what was it that called to you as well from shamanism?
Yeah, well, yeah, I can definitely talk about all of that. Shamanism is very misunderstood today. Shamanism is actually the very first spiritual tradition of human beings. And so we know that the practice dates back at least 100,000 years because we know that humans have been on the planet for at least that long. Of course, there's fights between scientists about that and anthropologists, but we have the cave paintings and we have the etchings, and we have the sacred tools to be able to look at. And so the word shaman itself comes from the Tungus tribe in Siberia. So it's actually a word from Central Asia. And the literal definition of a shaman is a man or woman who knows, a man or woman who heals, a man or woman who sees. You know, it's all about understanding the unseen realms. And so a shaman is a man or woman who goes into an altered state of consciousness. And what that means is we put aside our thinking mind and we engage our spiritual center. And with that engagement of the spiritual center, we create a direct line of communication with what we call our compassionate helping spirits, who are intermediary spirits of source, of the creative forces of the universe. So creation created us, and creation stories and shamanism are very important because they teach you how to live life, and they teach you how to work through all the challenges that you're going to face. And so those stories are really wonderful, but human beings, we have these egos, we have these minds, and we need to communicate with a being, you know, for our comfort level. And so the spirits show themselves in forms to us. In traditional shamanic cultures, those forms were oftentimes animal spirits, because the shaman had to be in touch with the animals that were willing to sacrifice themselves for the food. The people had to be in contact with the plant spirits for food and also for cures. And so a shaman is a man or woman who can take a journey into what are called the unseen realms and start to talk to intermediary spirits who can give ceremonies about how do we personally bring our lives back into balance, and how does the community bring their life back into balance, and what are the ceremonies the shamans have to do to align with the forces of nature so that everybody lived in harmony together. And so shamans have always been the diviners, bringing information, accessing information for the community. They perform healing ceremonies for individuals, for the entire community, and for the environment, healing the issues between people and the environment where they live. And there are all kinds of ceremonies, because ceremonies are done to honor every change in a cycle. When somebody's born, when somebody's married, in our world, when somebody gets their driver's license. In shamanic cultures, formal ceremonies would have been done to show you are no longer the same person that you were. You're now a new person, and let the community welcome you back with the strengths that you're now going to bring to help us. So shamanism is a practice of divination and healing, but it's also a way of life. And so learning how to work with our words, our thoughts, our daydreams, what we put out into the collective, that was taught to children as soon as they could speak in a shamanic culture.
Yeah, and that will be so good if we go back to that, teaching
Yes.
children how to engage with these two. And also, like, the logical mind has its place. It's not that we just get rid of it, right? It's also
Right.
like how we learn to use both ways to
Right.
manage our decisions. And how does it work for the ceremony, for the people who are listening to us, who want to bring more ceremonies to their lives? Why do you think that is important, and how can we do it?
Ceremonies are amazing. And I did write a book called The Book of Ceremony, and it is for people in our time because it's pretty much a ceremony for everything we experience in a modern day world. You know, the thing about shamanism, before I talk about ceremonies, is shamanism dates back so many tens of thousands of years that it had to keep evolving to work with the needs of the people. So even today, traditional shaman cultures are changing their chants. They're changing the words that go with their ceremony because life has changed on earth since those ceremonies have been done. So you have to keep making changes. A ceremony, the definition of a ceremony is a sacred act. And for me, I describe it the same way as I describe journeying. When we perform a ceremony, we put aside our ego, our thinking mind. What are we going to have for dinner? Those kinds of things. And we get in touch with our inner light. We are light. We're just beings of light. We get in touch with that inner light, our spiritual connection, and we make a strong link with the creative forces of the universe. And then we do our preparation work. We call in the spirits, we bring flowers, decorate. You can use an element, water, earth, fire, air, to do ceremonies, releasing ceremonies. Oh, I've had this pain from my childhood and I can't move forward. To manifest anything good in my life, I'm going to do a ceremony. I'm going to take a stick from nature. I'm going to blow that pain all the way through my body into that stick. So I've extracted it from my body. It's not in here. It's not a thinking process. You really felt it leave that pain into your stick. And then you release it to the fire, and the fire burns it and transmutes the energy. And that energy goes into light and love that feeds the creative forces of the universe. Or you could do the same thing with putting in a stick with what's your greatest dream? See it, hear it, feel it, smell it, taste it. What do you want to manifest for yourself? Good health, job, healthy relationships. What do you want to manifest in life? A healthy planet, a safe neighborhood. And again, you do some work with your stick and you really blow in the intention and you give it to the fire, and the fire brings your prayers to the universe to hear your prayers, to be able to make it so. So I like to use ceremony with all the elements to release pains, because right now, what we really need to do, we're stepping into a new paradigm. We cannot take our old traumas with us. We cannot. They sculpted us into the beings that we are now, but we cannot drag our old traumas with us to a new paradigm. So it's really important that we do ceremonial work to release or call in helping forces so that we're free to actually start to create a new fabric of reality. And we're getting clear on our intentions so that the universe can participate with us. The beauty of ceremony is it brings you to such a place of center and stability. When you perform ceremonies, there's absolutely nothing going on in the outside world that's going to shake you up, because you are being held in the loving arms of the universe, and you know it in a ceremony. They're that sacred. And you're working with forces of nature that are way beyond ego and have the power to heal and create change.
Yeah, so important right now, no, in these difficult times, to bring that. And then for shaman, you mentioned shamanic journey. So how does it work for people who haven't heard much about it, and what is the idea? And we are also going to have a shamanic journey as well.
Yeah,
So yeah, so I would love you to explain for the people who are listening who
sure.
haven't experienced that ever before.
Yes. So as I talked about, a shaman and their role of being able to bring information to their community and healing to their community. How they do that is by actually taking what we call a shamanic journey. And a shamanic journey is a ceremony. So we prepare for the ceremony when we do a journey, because we want to move our mind out of the way. And so the way I was trained was to use percussion. Percussion is used in most, not all, but in most places in the world. It's a way to change your brain waves to get you out of a beta state of thinking, which is just your ego thinking about the emails you have to work on. And we need to get that out of the way. So the preparation work is really important. Otherwise, you're thinking throughout the entire journey. And then the drumming or the percussion changes your brain waves. And as you listen to it, your brain starts to slow down into a meditative state of consciousness. And then as you listen to percussion even more, your brain waves slow down to what's called a theta state. And it's the theta state that allowed the shaman to travel into these unseen realms. In the Celtic world, they were called the other world. Carlos Castaneda termed it non-ordinary reality. I like to talk about it as a parallel universe, or the unseen realms, or the invisible realms. And so it's not an out-of-body experience. Shamans actually walk to the different places where you can journey to. There's the lower world, the middle world, the upper world. The lower world is a real world of nature with animal spirits and teachers and plants and trees all waiting to greet you and give you information. And the upper world is filled with teachers and masters and gurus and ancestors and religious figures. And it's a little bit more etheric, not so touchy-feely as the lower world. I've always been a more lower world person. I like going down there and sticking my fingers in nature and swimming in the river of life. The middle world is non-ordinary reality to here. And so what we have, your life and the life of nature, we all live in this world together. But through a journey, we can talk to the animals that come to our house, the trees, the plants, and we can learn from them and they can learn from us. We can establish a relationship, but you're not going into a different world, you're journeying here. The spirits that we meet, they love you so much and they're volunteering themselves to you. We call them compassionate spirits. They see your suffering, but they no longer have bodies anymore. So they're not suffering and they want to help. So they will give guidance and they will give healing. They will give love where you feel like you're being held by the most unconditional parent on the planet. but they'll give you tough love too if they see you whining or getting too weak or hurting yourself by your life habits. They're going to be tough on you. So there's no danger in journeying. You're going to get a tremendous amount of healing, an amazing amount of love. And if you need a talking to from the spirits, they will talk to you and try to get you to, and an English expression that we have is pull up your socks. And it means stand up strong. Stand up strong. You have more power than you think. So there are so many different journeys that we could do, but I thought because you want to get an experience of what a shamanic journey feels like, I thought that we'd go to the upper world. And in the upper world, we're going to meet a teacher who is going to perform a healing on you. And you can ask, you can say, I really need a healing for this. Or you can say, wise one, your spirit, you look through different eyes than I do. You have a much broader perspective on everything than I do. So you do the healing on me that you think I need. So it's whether you go with an open-ended intention or whether you go for an intention of something that you want. You can ask for a healing on an emotional level. You can ask for a pain to be removed so that you have a good new year to step into. You can ask a spirit to bring goodness into your life so that you have a new good year to step into. And you can ask for a message for how to improve the quality of your life in 2021. So I'm going to guide you on this because obviously we don't have time for an entire course on shamanic journeying. So I'll be using my drum, and I'll be using my rattles to do a little bit of whistling just to get us started. The drumming is going to sound like this. And again, I'll be talking you through, and I'll be drumming somewhat light because Zoom distorts the drum. So everybody's computer's a little differently. So you can turn up the volume or turn down the volume depending on how you need it with the drumming. So this is an exciting time for all of us. We have, think of the numbers of people right now joining together on the planet in prayer for the absolute best intention for the planet and all of life. People are really opening their hearts. We've really been worn down, which is the point of every shamanic initiation, is to wear us down to our knees, where we finally accept that we don't have the answers and that we need a higher power and helping spirits to just give us some breadcrumbs on how to live our life in a good way. So I'm going to start with some whistling and a little bit of a song. And during that time, I want you to just really try to breathe all the way down to your stomach. Put your hands, one hand on your stomach and one hand on your heart. And when you breathe, really feel your love for life and the earth, because if there's no love for life and the earth, there's no reason to go get a healing. We need to have love for ourselves. Okay, here we go. So start getting ready. I'll take a little water. Close your eyes. Deep, deep breaths into your belly and into your heart. Imagine yourself in the room that you're in right now. And you might have an instrument that you can play while I drum, because that makes your journeys deeper when you actually participate in the drumming and the rattling, even if you tap on a desk. Shamans love to sing while they journey. Shamans love to dance while they journey. So if you would like to move and pick up an instrument or tap on a table or sing during this journey, I so encourage you to do it, because journeying is really not passive. But if this doesn't feel comfortable to you, then just sit quietly with your eyes closed as I guide you on this journey for your healing. Stand up and walk to the door of your apartment or your house. And that door will transform into a veil or a fog or a mist that you can just gently walk through. And you're going to find yourself on a trail. And as you walk up the trail, open up all of your senses. See the beauty and the vibrant colors of the nature where you are. Listen to the sounds of nature. Feel your feet walking on the earth and feel your deep, deep love for the earth being returned through the bottom of your feet. Imagining hearts on the soles of your feet connecting to the earth. And as you're walking, you see a large tree. Shamans use trees to go to the upper world. They have many ways of going to the upper world, but trees are the most common, where they climb up on the branches to the upper world and they climb down the roots into the lower world. So it might seem daunting, but yes, you have the power to do this. We're gonna climb the branches. Climb the branches of the world tree, waiting to bring you to the upper world for a beautiful connection to a teacher and a desire for a healing for yourself and the planet. Teachers in human form can be spiritual masters, gurus, ancestors, religious figures. They can be people who you never know, people that legends have been written about, mythological figures. I have a friend who works with Merlin, the great magician. He's a wonderful teacher in the upper world. As you're climbing up the tree, you start to notice that there's a mist right above the leaves. And you can jump from a branch through that mist the first level of the lower world, of the upper world. And look around you and see if there's a being waiting there. And if so, ask, are you my teacher? When the teacher nods or says yes, or gives you a sign that's an affirmative answer, tell your teacher your intention. You can ask for a general healing, a personal healing. You can ask for a healing ceremony for our entire collective that you can perform when this journey is over. As you're in the journey, don't get stuck on the visuals. Shamans see, hear, feel, taste, and smell. I don't see in my journeys. I hear and feel the information in my bones. So I will drum in silence for a few minutes to give you time to immerse yourself in your relationship with your teacher. You might not be done, but it's time to return. Say thank you to your teacher, and you can always return here by drumming for yourself or using a rattle or 2 sticks or tapping on a book or making a rattle with pebbles in a bottle. You can even use a vitamin bottle. Everything can be made sacred. So say your leave to your teacher and climb back down the world tree. And once you're down at the bottom, and as you've seen in the unseen realms, everything happens so quickly. Let's just stand together in a giant circle and travel inside of ourselves to feel our inner star that lives inside of us, our inner sun or our inner moon, who we are beyond our body and our mind is spiritual light. Allow that light to fill your body completely. Soak it in like a dry sponge put in water. And now let's all allow that light to just flow out. You're not sending it. It's just naturally radiating and flowing out to the entire collective and to the entire planet. And we're lighting up the earth completely with light. Oh, 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 oh. just briefly look into each other's eyes with deep gratitude and love and thanks. And it is now time for us to take our leave. We all bow to each other in gratitude for the gift of coming together. We say thank you to the universe and all the helping spirits who joined us. And we leave this tree and we find our own personal paths back home. And as we do this, we sing a song. Mother, I feel you under my feet. Mother, I feel your heartbeat. Mother, I feel you under my feet. Mother, I feel your heartbeat. Hey, 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 oh. Hey, 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 yo. Hey, 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 yo. Hey, 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 yo. And we walk back through the mist into our apartment or house. We put our hands on our heart in deep gratitude for having the opportunity to learn how to travel up to the upper world to get a healing from a teacher, and how we could use light to heal ourselves and the planet. This ceremony is so powerful. We've been able to transform toxic water into neutral water, toxic earth into neutral earth, very ill people into healthy people. It's so simple. All life is light. So feel yourself grounded back to the earth where you live. And open your eyes. And we're back. But I always like to end with just some fairy bells. Welcome back, everyone. I know this time was very short in the journey, but if you re-listen to this and do it a few times, you're up there on your own. You're going to be great. There's nothing to worry about. This is a beautiful healing journey to do. And the radiating light is a journey that thousands and thousands of people around the world join in on a circle of mine to radiate light within and throughout the earth every full moon. So this is a ceremony you could do every day and you'll heal, and we'll see a lot of healing for all of us.
Thank you so much. It's so profound. I love it. It's how in just a few minutes we can get so much. So
Yeah,
I would love you to share, like, for people who want to go deeper with this and with you. I know you are planning something in February, and the summit will be at the end of January. So if anyone wants to go deeper into shamanic work, how can they do that?
Yeah, in February, through the Shift Network, I'm starting a new course on journeying to the spirits of nature. So it's going to be all middle world journeys. And it's so profound to be able to talk to the animals and to be able to, sorry, my computer is doing something strange, to be able to talk to the animals and to I really apologize.
Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, because I can hear you fine and everything is fine. So
Oh yeah, my computer went into 4 different screens that and we
at
were
the
gone.
same time, it's alive.
Yeah, so we're going to journey to spirits of nature and learn their language so that it's not just asking them for help, but we could talk to them and we can work out solutions together. It's going to be such a deep course. I've been through such an immense initiation in these years. And I'm taking people really deep into this work in February. It's going to be beautiful, lots of laughing, dancing, singing, and really, really deep work. And so you can find out about that on my webpage, sandraingerman.com. I have lots of free articles. I do a monthly column for free. I haven't missed a month since December 2020. And not 2020, 2000. So we're on our 21st year. It's translated into, I think, 13 languages. And our full moon ceremony that we just did is creating a human web of light is on that webpage. So please check it out. And if you're looking for a local teacher, visit my website, shamanicteachers.com. So thank you, everybody. I know that you're doing everything you can to contribute to the planet, and we're all doing it together. Every little piece that we do makes an amazing, enormous difference.
Yeah, thank you so much, because that for me is the intention to put this together, that we do need everyone. We know everyone brings their medicine to change the situation that we are in now. And the more that we work in ourselves, the more that we will be able to see a better world. So
Yeah, I got this wonderful statement recently. The larger your inner world grows, the smaller the outer world grows. So as you get bigger inside, the outer world is going to seem so small to you, and you're going to go, what is everybody fighting about?
yeah, that's the question. Perfect. So thank you so much for everything, for your time, for your energy, for your sharing, your wisdom. And thank you everyone for listening to us. And is there any final thought that you would like to share?
Well, I do want to say that everything that we're seeing has already happened so many times in the universe. And we really, really do have a chance to do this one differently this time. But we're in a cycle. Have patience. All cycles must be completed. And we're going to do really well. We're going to bring our hearts together. We're going to do our spiritual practices. We're going to create what in shamanism is called an invisible world of substance so that we can create a beautiful world for all of life. So blessings to everyone for everything that you contribute. You have no idea how much you're contributing to the health of the collective and the planet right now. So thank you. And thank you, Mar.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And yeah, so I'll see everyone. And yeah, thank you for being possible.